Hello and welcome to Ycft. It is the end of 2023 and we've had a great year of making videos. We've had a lot of fun and we were going to do a review of Terror Train 2 to celebrate the end of the year because unlike the remake Terror Train 1, which was set on Halloween, it is set on New Year. But we can't get a hold of it in the UK at all. So we decided to do a list of YouTube channels that inspire us.
Yes.
Also, this is a very condensed list. They're in no particular order.
No.
Other than I'd say maybe like the first or the last one.
Yeah.
Just a list of channels that you guys might find interesting. So we're going to start with the obvious one.
The big daddy.
The big one. Dead Meat.
Yeah.
Who in the horror space doesn't know of Dead Meat and the kill counts? James and Chelsea are icons within the space. Like I just said, the kill counts are fantastic, dead informative, quite funny, well written and presented. They also have their podcast, which is also really informative. And they just seem like really cool,
kind of like
cool people, a nice couple.
Yeah, the king and queen of YouTube horror, really.
Yeah. I look forward to also trying to get a feature film off the ground that they are producing. I'm really excited to see where that goes.
Welcome to the Kill Count, where we tally up the victims in all our favorite horror movies. I'm James A. Janice, and today we're looking...
Now we've got them out of the way. We're going to go with a podcast first called The Cherry Picker.
Yeah.
Hosted by Zach Cherry and Edward is Truth. It's just these two friends that talk about horror movies. And it's not entirely like trivia based. It's usually just about how, basically just their opinions on the films, how they feel, where were they in their lives when they watched it, how have their opinions changed or their taste changed over time.
Yeah.
It's just a really nice, laid back, probably the closest to our style.
I think so.
Of content.
Yeah, the dynamic I think kind of matches ours, and it's fairly lengthy podcast as well. Most of their discussions are like an hour and a half. Sometimes they've gone to 2 hours, 3 hours even, but they're really easy to listen to. They do have a really, really fun dynamic. So yeah, and also the Cherry Picker is like an extension of Zach Cherry's main channel.
If you're in the Scream community, you probably know who Zach Cherry is.
Yeah, that's a great channel as well, but I find myself kind of returning to the podcast week after week.
Now you're making me reconsider, because I was going to put it in I For One Am Giddy and Up.
Oh.
But you liked it so much better than me. But see, this is why it's...
Yeah, this is why you and I...
I'm going to put it...
And another one I particularly like that I kind of got you onto as well is Grim Life Collective. I love this channel so much. It's basically a husband and wife, and it's almost like a location style channel where they basically just travel around different spots. It could be film locations, it could be sites of interesting, strange, historical events, and they just sort of talk you through in a very informal, casual way of the history of the place, the history of the film. But they really, really do their research, and they are total horror nerds, and they're just really delightful. I love hanging out with them. I feel like I never miss a video. It's like no matter what the video is, even if I'm not really familiar with it, I will watch them. So yeah, they're a really lovely couple. They've recently just done the rounds in Europe, which have been a really interesting slew of videos. So yeah, big fan of Grim Life.
Until next time, happy Halloween.
Next on the list is Joe Blow Horror. These are the guys we kind of we compare ourselves to quite often, in particular subject matter. Because we record a few weeks ahead of time before things come out. So if we've released a video and then on the same week or quite close, they release a video on the same topic, we kind of know we're on the right track. They do informative videos. They're famous for What the Fuck Happened to Such and Such series, where they pick a film and they go through the development of it, the different names that went through, other attempted sequels leading up to it. And it's just really, really informative. It's actually really, really useful when doing research.
Yes. Yeah, for sure. One I particularly like is a channel called In Praise of Shadows. So I came onto this channel quite recently, maybe in the last year, but again, really, really love their content. Talk a lot about horror films and horror franchises, but also just strange, mysterious things in history. They did a video on witch trials, for instance, about a year ago, I think. So really interesting content. Their videos do tend to be quite long, which for me is absolutely perfect. I have no problem in sitting down and just playing like a 2 hour, 3 hour YouTube video because, really do their research. They really put in the effort. Really interesting content, like I say. So I love binge watching this channel. It's really good. Highly recommended. Another one for me is Matt Draper. So this one is mainly kind of confined to horror films, but again, really interesting bits of trivia that he pulls out about films. Again, very, very passionate guy about horror, about the industry, really knows his stuff. Really well presented as well. And again, very informal, very casual style. So Matt Draper is a big one that I really, really like.
As for the zombie outbreak, with a newfound level of interest, Romero would return to the horror he helped create with 3 movies made in the span of only 4 years, quickly outpacing his first Dead trilogy with a new modern Dead trilogy composed of Land of the Dead, Diary of the Dead, and Survival of the Dead.
This next one is one that you got me onto. It's a guy called 42, who is a British YouTuber, and he does a mixture of live action presenting with animated storytelling. He picks us weird things that have happened in history and then tells a story in an entertaining way through different avatars.
Very British.
Very, very British. And you feel you've got a bit of a team that helps obviously come up with these ideas and animate and research. And he just seems like a really nice guy.
Yeah.
Like very well informed. His stuff is very easy to listen to, and he's quite good at spinning a yarn. He can tell a good tale. You're making history seem really, really interesting. Obviously, history is interesting, but he's got a really fun, cool way of telling these stories, especially when it's about individuals within history.
Yeah, and not particularly long videos either. It's everything you need to know, within a relatively easy space of time.
Yeah, it's very digestible.
Yeah, totally.
Up until this point, the collection of wild and probably quite unhappy exotic animals was mostly kept for the diversion and merriment of the monarchy. You know, when they got bored of pushing gold coins into prisoners' eye sockets or whatever.
What I discovered in the last year or so is 3C Films. I personally really like watching this channel. A guy called Chris. I really like his reviews. They're very honest. He never seems afraid to give an opinion, even if it goes against what the mass opinion on something is. I feel like he's always very fair. And then he does a lot of news videos, very informative. He's got his finger on the pulse. And if I want to know what's being worked on, what the rumors are around things, or when things are going to be released, it's a good channel for me to keep up to date.
Good source.
He's a massive Chucky fan, which I think really helps us as well. He loves Chucky. He loves Scream. He loves his merch. So I love his setup. His setup is really nice. It's really clean.
Yeah.
In fact, there's other things I want to gush about with this movie that'll be spoilers. So I think on the Clips channel, I'm going to put out a spoiler review because there's so many other things I want to talk about, but it would be ruining the movie for you.
Next, I'm going to go on to an Irish YouTuber called Ryan Hollinger. He does fairly short, really informative and in-depth looks at particular films. I really like the stuff that he does, films revolving around folklore. I said he seems very, very well informed. He clearly does a lot of research, does a lot of work on scripting, what he's going to say. I don't always agree with his opinions, but I always respect his opinions. And I always get quite excited when a new one of his pops up because he clearly puts a lot of time and effort into making his videos.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of passion in there. And I know from stuff he said in the past that there's a lot of times he's worked on videos, and if they're not going the way he likes, or if he doesn't find them interesting, he just scraps them.
Yeah.
And he's very, very open about that. So we know that the videos he puts out are the ones that he really wants to make.
Yeah, one thing I really like about Ryan's channel as well is the films he picks. You can never really preempt what he's going to do next. Sometimes he'll do, a fairly new film, and then another week he'll be going way back into the past and exploring a film from the 90s, or an obscure little one from the 2000s or something. So that's kind of similar to what we do as well. We like picking and choosing what we do just based on what we're interested in at the time.
Anyway, outside that petty tangent, I don't really have any glaring issues from here on out, as the film does many terrific things to twist and turn the chaos that unfolds.
Next, we've got through a Scooby-Doo one, isn't it? Because we do a fair few Scooby-Doos. So, Scooby-topia. Basically, does what it says in the tin. He talks about Scooby-Doo. In particular, he looks at the kind of similar to what we do with big franchises. He looks at the eras of Scooby-Doo. So, the Zombie Island through Cyber Chase, or Boo Brothers through to Reluctant Werewolf. But then sometimes cherry pick themes, he did a really interesting one on Americana within old Scooby-Doo. Just stuff that you, as a child, you don't necessarily pick up on, but as an adult, you realize it's steeped in all this American history that it's so interesting. This channel, he deep dives into stuff like that, and it's really, really interesting. It goes much deeper than you'd expect a Scooby-Doo channel to.
Very informative.
Really like this guy's content.
Something funky about the VHS version of this release has to do with the episode I'm talking about in particular, actually. The master used for the VHS version is a work-in-progress copy of the episode, and the DVD has the finished one that ultimately aired on ABC.
Lastly, this one, probably I'd say one of the biggest inspirations creatively for me, because he does animated reviews along with, obviously, live-action filmed videos, and that kind of inspired me to commission someone to make our avatars so that we could have a quicker turnaround on new reviews. And this is a guy we first discovered him when we were doing research for our Halloween Resurrection video.
Yeah.
There wasn't that much out there, so we found this guy. Weren't really sure what to think of him at first.
Yeah.
So we watched a couple of his videos. It took us a while to get used to the character he puts on. He's a guy called Dr. Wolfula. And this is a character that this guy has created. He's got another one called Goulash.
Yes,
Like second channel.
yeah.
It's a very odd character that he plays, but he does a
Very-
mixture of new reviews, which are sent in his animated form, or just in-depth reviews on popular horrors. And there's always like a couple of skits in there as well. He on purposely throws in a couple of like really bad, or sometimes like on purposely over the top, distasteful, but also don't make much sense jokes. It's just this character that he plays, but the information he's putting forward is extremely interesting.
Yeah.
And I love his rankings at the end. Just never make any sense.
I know.
I'm your host, Dr. Wolfula, and when I'm not butchering her baker until I make her nightmare, I'm here at the Wolfula reviewing movies.
This very, very cynical werewolf. But I really, really love, I love every single video. He's another one as well. It doesn't really matter what the content is. If I'm not really familiar with the film or the franchise, I'm watching it because I like Wolfula. I want to hear the distasteful jokes, and I want to hear his opinion on it. He's just he's so funny, and yeah, I can't really think of anyone else to compare him to on YouTube that I found in horror anyway. But yeah, he is literally just a very dark delight that we found.
I think he deserves to be a lot bigger than what he is. 'Cause I think he's been around for about 10 years.
Yeah. He sponsors himself.
Here's a word for our sponsor. Me! And it just plugs his merch, so
But first, I have a message from my sponsor, me. Here's my review of The Wolfman. But first, I have a message from my sponsor, me.
I get a kick every time he says that.
I mean, he's come in last, but he's by no means last. We just wanted to highlight him.
Well, I'd say he's more top.
Yeah,
Use
he
your
is.
word. It's like Dead Meat are by no means the bottom, but I definitely wanted Wolfula to be like the last one, just because he is.
We both love him equally.
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
And I just think more people should check his stuff out.
Totally. Yeah.
Any more notes for this? Yeah, Sam.
No notes. No notes for this year. It's been an interesting year. We've had some good news and bad news recently in the horror community.
Yes. We also had some really interesting films come out, and a lot of fun films that we enjoyed. I'm really looking to everything coming out in 2024.
Same.
And also, we might do another one of these in future with other channels that we watch. And what we want you to do is let us know what channels you guys watch. They don't have to be horror.
Yeah, just
so we've got a
based on what
Scooby-Doo
we've said.
one in there. We've got obviously 42, which is informative. Just channels that you guys enjoy or that inspire you.
We like history, we like folklore, we like all things strange and macabre. So let us know, what are we missing out on?
Yeah, so thanks a lot, guys. Thank you for 2023. As a whole, we've been really happy with how everything's going channel-wise, and we're still having a ton of fun making these.
Yeah.
And who knows what we're going to do. We've got a couple of things planned, a couple of projects in the works. We will see you all for our regularly scheduled programming next year. Bye for now.
Bye.